Okay, here's the case that was submitted by a dentist doing a Maryland bridge from tooth number 21 to 23 and was having problems kind of getting forward to this design phase. And what's going on here is you can see on this step menu, on the step bar, there's all sorts of different steps. And the reason is, if you highlight this, he decided to do everything in Biogeneric reference, which is a little bit more of an advanced method. It works very good, and I'll run you through how to do that here. But it is a little bit more complicated because there's many more steps to kind of keep track of. So let's go back. Instead of just taking it from here, let's go back to administration and delete the case and just start over from scratch. So we're going to do veneer or bridge, veneer, biogeneric. These are for our wings on tooth number 21 and tooth number 23. Our pontic is going to be tooth number 22. And let's start as our connectors of being intersecting. If you're not clear what intersecting connectors are, there's many videos that discuss that. Our material is going to be Ivoclar Emax, and we'll hit OK. The next thing we'll do is let's just go ahead and take a look at the scan photos. Now, he had pretty standard pictures here, just the lower or the edentulous jaw, the upper arch and the buccal bite. He had a biocopy lower with nothing in it. My guess is that he hit that and decided not to use it. Now, even though we're doing biogeneric reference on the lower, there's really no need to add a biogeneric reference lower folder. Okay, because if you don't have anything in this folder, you certainly could copy and paste the lower jaw into the bioreference folder, but if you don't have anything included, it's automatically going to default to the preparation arch, or in this case, the Maryland bridge arch, to do your biogeneric reference. So we can just keep everything the way it is now and just move forward. Okay, the next important step is obviously setting the model axis. The model axis is really important when you're dealing with bridges or large arches. This one presents kind of an unusual problem because there's such a midline discrepancy from the upper and lower. In past videos, in almost all my workflow, I will actually just use the upper central incisors to go ahead and align the two central incisors to be straight at me, then align that midline to be perpendicular to the arch, and that's usually going to be spot on. You can see the inclination is good. But the problem we run across is on the right side. You can see the midline is actually way over here. Okay, so in these cases, what I would probably end up doing is pay less regard to the one that I usually do, the upper left, and just go ahead and use this horseshoe to align the midline. Okay, making sure my inclination is pretty good, and just go with that. Because you can see here that you've got your central incisor upper midline here, the lower's here. So you almost got a two-tooth discrepancy midline, which is kind of unusual. So we just got to kind of pick an average little spot and go with it. We'll hit OK, and we'll go ahead and move on to the margination. So as soon as you move to the margination stage, it kind of keeps this model axis. That's not your insertion axis. So the model axis and insertion axis in inLAB are completely independent. So what we need to do here is when I marginate, I tend not to marginate on the model axis, but I don't freely rotate it either. I think the best way to ensure that your bridges are going to seat well is go to View Options, hit Occlusal. This is going to be your default insertion axis. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to draw my margins based on this insertion axis right here. So first, I'll go ahead and hit Draw Margins. Let's go ahead and draw the pontic first. Sometimes the pontic is often the most important part to draw. I draw it usually if I'm making the wings on the lingual here, I'll tend to draw that line a little bit more to the lingual, which will aid me in bigger connectors. We'll go ahead and hit 23. Now I'm not going to want to go too far into the interproximal here because I won't be able to see it from this insertion axis. Okay. You can always alter the insertion axis, but because of the certain model axis that you have, it's going to make things a little bit more difficult. And then finally we'll go to 21 and draw this. Now here's where you may have to alter things just a little bit, and where you might have to adjust a little bit because we're probably going into areas that we're not going to be able to see very clearly, or into undercuts. Okay? Same thing, I might alter tooth number 23 just a little bit. Okay, once I do that, we'll go ahead and hit insertion axis. Kind of falls back to where the insertion axis is going to be. I'm not going to really alter that much. I like it the way it is now. Things seem to be inserting pretty well, so I don't want to hit OK there. Let's just go ahead, hit OK. Alright, so the next thing, define insertion axis individual. I'm going to skip that. Let's move on to select the reference teeth. Now when we select the reference teeth, you have to remember that only anteriors will actually mirror each other. So number 22 and 23 are going to give me the options to mirror because they're anteriors. So again, let's start with the canine. We're going to hit number 22. Let's go have it reference the contralateral 27. Do you want to mirror? Yes. Select the reference tooth. Pick the reference tooth. Double click on tooth number 27, and it gives me a copy line. So simply with this copy line, let's just go ahead and adjust it like you're doing biocopy. Okay. Now you've only got one of the three selected, so now you're going to have to hit select reference tooth again. Let's do number 23. Just kind of disregard that bug in the back. That happens sometimes. We're going to reference the contralateral, which is tooth number 26. Do I want to mirror it? Yes. Pick a reference tooth. Okay. Same thing, what we're going to do as we did before. We're going to go ahead and copy this, except on this one we're going to do it a little different. Oops. So if you ever have that happen, what that means is that it always is going to cut away the smaller portion, so we might need to start there. But since we're doing a wing here, the only thing we really need to have it reference is the little wing area, like that. So we'll keep it just like that. Now the last step is we need to pick one more reference tooth, which is going to be tooth number 21. I'll have it reference tooth number 28. Notice that it's not going to in fact give us any option to mirror it because it's a posterior tooth. We just simply double click on the tooth. It places a little dot right on that tooth. Now you'll notice we've got the references drawn for tooth number for all the teeth, and to reference the contralateral arch. We're all set to go ahead and hit design. We can adjust our parameters as necessary for both the wings and the pontics, and we'll calculate the restoration. Okay, so there's the proposal I got. I went ahead and I recalculated unadapted the canine pontic right away. And the first thing, before I even start messing with this, I want to look at the contacts of the pontic with the adjacent teeth. The best way to look at that is through the model box. Now clearly I don't want contact, in an area, or strong contact in an area that's not in the connector, but you do want some. So we'll go ahead and just lightly kind of smooth that contact area, just so it's kind of like a contact you would have, just a contact that you might have with a regular crown. Okay, I'm going to leave a little red here because I think we're moving into the connector area. And so once that's done, let's go ahead and click off that, and we can start working on the connectors a little bit. So let me start with the easy one, which is tooth number 23. Just double click on that. Let's use our anatomical shape tool and just simply pull this out a little bit to create a little thickness. We'll go to circular and just thicken this up a little. Okay. Same thing we'll do over here. I'll just keep it on circular shape. We'll thicken it up. Obviously we've got a high spot here we don't need. Now we got a little minimal thickness problem here, so you might want to leave that a little heavy. So after designing for a little while, you come up with something like that, which will probably work. You'll definitely have to adjust some occlusion probably. I turned off the high spots. Let's go ahead and look at it in the mill preview. And besides having the margin out here, which is again another bug not to be worried about, you can see that we're getting a pretty good mill on this. Okay, the last thing that I want to look at is let's go back to design and look at the connectors. So one of the things that can happen oftentimes when you're milling these real thin Maryland bridges is you can have a connector break. So let's go ahead and look at the connectors. We've only got 5.83 between here, 3.96, so they're a bit thin. So one thing that I may consider doing here is going back to administration. Let's go ahead and edit it. Go to connectors, switch to anatomic connectors, hit OK, go back to design, hit calculate restoration. It's going to go ahead and put some fat connectors on there for me. So now when you go ahead and recalculate those, you got those connectors. We can check the thicknesses. We've got over 15 millimeters square there. We've got over 16 there. So we know we're real strong with the connectors. So you can actually you can actually edit them so they're not going so far into the contacts. But to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't. That's a choice. There's videos on how to edit connectors in the video catalog. But let's just go to the mill preview. You can see that we've really got a nice mill here. If you want to have an idea of where these may bind, we can always turn on our model box and look underneath. You can see you might have a little binding in this area here. Same thing right there, but really very minimal, very little binding. It actually looks pretty good. So I would start with that. You're definitely going to have to adjust this in the mouth, but at least you're going to get a mill where the wings are not going to break. So a very tricky Maryland bridge case. Hopefully that helped go through quite a few different things to lead you to better Maryland bridges.